Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's Fuck Off Friday. It's Fuck Off Friday. How are we all? Good morning. Let me get you up. Let me get you up, so to speak. How are we all? Good morning, Christine Bett. Had to take my son to the doctors last weekend. Oh no, he fractured his little finger playing cricket. He's not allowed to play for the rest of the year. Cricket injuries, man. Cricket injuries. Fast, bold balls. If you think about it, kind of insane. I used to think, good God, a sport where you have to wear a helmet to play it. Morning, Jules Tarling, Fifi Cromack, Julie Neal, youngest Neil got a walking toy dog from Hamleys, and she's always wanted one. Oh, fantastic. Morning, Christos. Raspberry Mojito Girl, thank you so much. Happy sober anniversary. Can I just say, first and foremost, thank you so much for all the lovely messages on Instagram regarding it being my 18th sober birthday. Thank you so much. Jen Legs, thank you. Yeah, 18 years, man. 18 years. I posted an image of me and Nadia on a beach. I think we were in Herne Bay or somewhere like that. And if you look closely at the bottom right of the frame, you can see a bottle of wine. So we were pretty tanked. And you know, it's odd. A sober birthday. Thank you, Sharon Elster. Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you. I mean, I've had so many lovely messages. So kind and so thoughtful. And yeah, I mean, you know, and quite a few of you recognising that it's just putting out your story. Hopefully, will just help someone get through a day of sobriety, a week of sobriety, start sobriety, all that kind of stuff. You know, 18. I was. Nadia was asking me yesterday. She said, you know, how does it make you feel? And you sort of think. Sometimes it feels like the more years you get in the bank, if you like, the taller the house of cards gets. I mean, there's nothing more destabilizing than when you hear someone who's been, I don't know, 20, 22, 24, 25 years sober, and then they relapse. So all you can do, and I struggle with this, everyone struggles with this, all one can do is keep it in the day. And in some regards, for me, someone who's a day sober, it's as much of an achievement as 18 years sober, because really those 18 years are simply lots and lots of keeping it in the days. It's all a bit kind of existential. It fucks with my head on a daily basis. Sharing your story. I was just messaging someone, just reached out to me on Instagram. I was just messaging them saying, you know, sometimes I think sometimes people think there might be a silver bullet of some form that means you can you know, change things, solve things, or intercept things. But actually, sometimes it's nothing more complicated than sitting down and talking to someone. Sometimes better if they're a stranger. And that's the advantage of, you know, meetings. You don't have to go to AA meetings. There are smart meetings. You know, I think lots of people think 12-step meetings are all about religion. They're not. They really are not in this modern age. They really are not. But sometimes sitting down with a stranger, because if you sit with a stranger and you share what you're going through, you can remove that awful thing that most addicts have, which is judgment. Not that a lot of people who know you would judge you, but sometimes you need the freedom just to be able to say exactly what you feel. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Julie Smith, 1966. Can we send her a hug? She's got a poorly tummy. She's got an upset tummy. Sorry about that, my darling. That's horrible when you get that. Reese Roberts says, the saying goes, each one teach one. Oh, bless. So by sharing your testimony, Mark, in whatever fashion concerning sobriety, the positive influence that can reach someone or some people in need is endless. Thank you very much. It's that, I mean, I've used it before. I mean, sometimes I get a little bit embarrassed because a lot of the kind of maxims or ideas or thoughts or strategies are it's about repetition. It's about reiterating. It's about finding ways of kind of doing the same thing. You know, there's a phrase in a lot of recovery, which is keep it simple. And sometimes I think I go online sometimes and I look at the complications that some proponents of sobriety go towards, and I think, wow, this makes it feel almost unattainable. And sometimes it really is just about keeping it simple. And so sometimes it's about just repeating the obvious messages. One of those is like, you know, anyone who's in recovery, they say that an active addict, the destruction they cause is if they're like, the analogy is a drip in an ocean. The drip of the addict lands and the ripples affect negatively so many people. And they affect people that the original addict wasn't even aware of, because those ripples are so far away. The ripples hit the ripples, hit the ripples, hit the ripples. But my argument is that when you get sober and you share little drips, horrible analogy, isn't it? When you share little drips of positive thought, they too work in a similar way. They drop and they reach and they reach and they reach. And I think for me, that's where social media at its best is great, because you can reach the parts that other beers cannot reach, quite literally. I like a gallows sense of humour around it. For me, that's a way of putting it in its place. You know, sometimes I like to pretend that I'm actually drinking orange and cider. But anyway, just an enormous thank you. Why is it so bloody hot, says Minky Moo. It's a good question. I got flowers coming out in the garden. Yeah, I know. The greenery out there. Everything should be dying and wilting and falling apart. But no, it's just so hot. Erin Bullimore, one day at a time, always just one day. Exactly. It's got to be about the day. Natasha Milchin. Hi, Marky. Been so busy and stressed as we've just moved to Israel. Whether or not we'll stay, I don't know. Already missing home. Oh, sweetheart. Nothing worse than homesickness. So yeah, if you want to get a sense of the story, a little bit of the story, just head over to my Instagram. There's I've posted about 18 years sobriety, and I think one of the just finally on this before we won't go on about it. But one of the one of the important things I think to say is that, as I say in my post, it's really important not to pretend to people. She's good, Nads is good. It's important to not pretend, to pretend, not pretend. It's important to say that you could have a good time on alcohol. It's really important to say that. It's important to say that you had a laugh, because for lots of youngsters, they're going to smell a rat, quite literally. They're going to be like, what do you mean you'd never had fun? Of course you had fun. I mean, everyone has fun, hashtag fuck off fun Friday, with the help of alcohol. But it's the point at which the lack of fun outweighs the fun. And of course, the difficulty is being able to judge that. Which is why so much catastrophe often precedes a rock bottom. Julie Neal at the Mo, I'm tired and don't feel up to communicating with people, but now I'll have to go ahead with pre-arranged events. Julie, we're going to be talking about feeling a bit hermit-like. We're going to be talking about being a hermit. Thank you, Elliot. Thank you so much for your message earlier. That was very kind of you. Thank you, Squire. Michelle Hofstein, stopped drinking January 1997. Wow. Wowsy badowsies gadowsies. That's 25 years if my rudimentary maths works. Me and Elliot aren't very good at maths. Oh, I just drank that a little bit too fast. You know when you put your bottom lip too far down and suddenly it all goes in and you feel like a pelican. Thank you, Charlene Evans. What's that? Erin Bullimore. Finally come to the conclusion that my girlfriend is going to have to go private to get a hip replacement. Oh, because the NHS is useless mess and she's in agony. Oh dear. Trying to do a GoFundMe to help a bit. Oh God, let us know how that goes, Erin. Let us know. Yeah, that's amazing, Michelle. 20, did I just say 22 years? Wow. But it's only a day. It's only a day at a time. Really, one should only celebrate each day. One should only really celebrate each day. Anyway, Prince Harry's memoir has got its title. And I have to say, when I saw this story break yesterday, I wasn't in a very good place last night, but I saw this story break, or I saw it pop up. We are doing the quiz at the end. And I was quite surprised by how bold. What do you think the title is? What do you think of the title? Prince Harry has called it Spare. Spare, as in the heir and spare. You know, the idea of the spare member of the royal family who kind of isn't in line to the throne and so struggles to find their purpose or their role and all that kind of stuff. Jenny J, it's whiny. Ah, there we go. So tell us what you think. It's accompanied by, I think, an almost quite disturbing photograph of him on the front. I mean, as I look at it, I feel like the book's going to headbutt me. So it's quite an austere face. It's quite a sort of, not hostile, but it's holding you at arm's length. Spare gives you a distinct sense of being outside of things. a spare part, a spare wheel, spare tyre, spare. I mean, it's almost like saying reject, isn't it? Thank you, Lee Durrant. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, mate. That's very kind of you. I imagine his puppet master had a say, Sharon J. Ooh, that's a bit strong, is it? I mean, I know there's a lot of people who have this opinion, but I mean, I do feel one has to judge Harry on simply what he says for himself. Do you know what I mean? We'll never know the exact details of who, and by and large, I mean, you know, what does it matter? I mean, he's made the decision. Ross Ouch, I'm sure he's told the family what's in it, and I'm glad he's written it. Karen A. Smith, I think it's a bad idea. He may come to regret this in time. Well, it's published on the 10th of January. I don't think the cover's great. I don't think the cover's great. No, I don't. It's titled Spare, as I say. It's coming out on the 10th of January. Some of the proceeds are going to charity. Two donations of $1.5 million and $300,000 to two charities, Sentibale and Well Child. Sentibale helps children and adolescents in Lesotho and Botswana struggling to come to terms with HIV. I presume that's in Despair. That Velvet Vicky Waiting, very clever there. I presume, you know, in a sense, a sort of follow-up to the work that his mother did with people with HIV. I don't know. I mean, journalists are going to be examining this text with a microscope. The ghostwriter is the same as Andre Agassi, and it's exactly the same front cover. Look it up. Wow, they've just removed a sweatband or a tennis racket. God, whatever happened to Andre Agassi? Do you remember him? What made me laugh, says Lee, is the Royal House saying it's going to be bad for them, but yet they haven't even read it yet. There is that. I thought what was even funnier was the Buckingham Palace said, we're not going to give a comment on this. But of course they did, because they said, we're not going to give a comment on this. So they'd given a comment. And that comment says everything, doesn't it? We're not going to comment on this. Disapproval, all that kind of stuff. There's no way also the public not want, as they say, some self-help, gloopy, mindfulness, meditative, this is how I got the equilibrium in my life sort of book. They're not going to want that. They're not going to have pushed for that. They're going to have tried to guarantee that there's some stuff in here that's pretty tasty. So it's definitely going to kick it all up again, isn't it? It's definitely going to kick it all up again. So spare some time to read it. Are you going to read it? Who's going to read it? Let's do a little poll. Who's going to actually read it? I think it's coming in at £24. Will you read Harry's memoir? It feels like it's one of those books one should. It's weird. I don't know about anyone else. I'm not a big fan of memoirs of famous people. Not really. I mean, I suppose it comes back to if you any followers of the Popcorn Junkies, I've got a total intolerance of music biopics that are made for the families of the people, because it's just like, well, we're just going to get such a gloss. I want a real story. Might do, Julie Smith, yes. Russ Souch, not me, rather read David Jason one out. Okay. All the shocking bits will be in the news anyway. Katie Kate, precisely. I mean, the news will distill the tasty bits, in a sense. You love a biography, Sarah Withington. I think people really do chop up, don't they, into factual biography and all that kind of stuff. I suppose a biography, a biography, I suppose, is different. Yeah, biography is good, and sometimes an unauthorised biography is good, but autobiographies, sometimes it's just like, oh God, I'm just going to hear you get banging on about yourself. Let's face it, we've read it. It will be a repeat of Oprah, the podcast, and every article they've done since 2020, says Vicky Hug. Julie Neal would love to meet David Jason. It's fair dues. I'm not really one for reading this type of book. You never know if it's real, what's being written, Lee. Same here. Often I just feel like an autobiography is about correcting the narrative and all that kind of stuff. Jules Tarling, Miriam Margolis. It was an autobiography. Was fantastic. I will read it when in the bargain bin. What, in one of those shops? I don't know if those shops exist anymore. That you walk past and you think you see every book you've ever seen in a shop for $1.99. You think, what the fuck's going on here? Christos, I will say what I've said before. Do it, mate. He's entitled to write it if wants to, but time and history will be the best judge. You're absolutely right. Faith Goodman doesn't pull her punches. Please spare us, like what you did there, Faith. Please spare us, Harry, from your whining and pity me stories. Just go and do something useful to help young people living in bad conditions rather than moaning at how awful your life is. I tell you what might be quite a sort of counterintuitive thought is if he says something nice about them all. Maybe you'll say something nice. Maybe you'll go, yeah, you know, Dad's all right. We used to go down the end of the garden. We used to go picking flowers and weeds. You still have bargain bins in Oz. I haven't seen a bargain bin in ages. People don't read. Well, on that note, actually, there's just a little sidebar. Where did I put it? Look at this. Sarah Palin, for any of our American, Alaskan Republican, extreme sort of Republican. She proudly says, I don't want to go on about Sarah Palin too much, but she proudly says, isn't she the one who sort of runs around with guns shooting animals and says it's all brilliant? She proudly says that she doesn't read. I don't read, so she won't be reading Spare. Is that something to proudly state that you don't read? I mean, we talked about this recently about people who struggle with reading, and I think that's something entirely different. But I do find it a bit frustrating when people go, I don't read, like it's a major attribute. It's weird. I just think it's weird. I mean, if you choose not to, that's fine, but yeah. I've always wondered what his goal is and when he'll stop moaning about his past, says Karen Hill. Well, let's have a look. What are you saying? Will you read it? A third of you, yes. 2/3, no. Oh. Don't be ashamed if you're in recovery if you find what I call soft addictions. Mine is coffee. Audiobooks for me, a good way forward. My mum listens to all sorts of stories on YouTube, don't you, Mum? I can hear the voice of sort of an Agatha Christie sort of tootling down the hallway. Experts say, this is funny, I saw this headline, I thought, oh, blimey, maybe we should rename our wine o'clocks. Experts say wine o'clock may be behind surge in liver cancer cases. And then I thought, shit, what have we done? What did we do? What did we talk about? And no, of course it's not. They mean literally wine o'clock. Experts say that wine o'clock culture may be behind a surge in liver cancer cases, with rates jumping 40% in the last decade. I want to ask you all, what time, for those drinkers here, what time do you pour yourself a tipple? Is there a sort of standard time in the day that you would pour yourself your first drink or a drink? The pups don't lie. Kindles do make it easier to read. And I'll tell you something I really like about Kindles when we were using Kindles, is when you don't know what a word means, you can click on the word and it tells you. Laurel Nichols, 7 p.m. I have a drink at 8 p.m, says Raspberry Mojito Girl. Nikki Burton, I don't drink alcohol. Laurel Nichols, 12 on holiday. I remember I used to just, I couldn't wait to get to 11. And what arbitrary 11 o'clock, because that's when pubs open. Sarah Witherington, 5 o'clock, 7 p.m, says Sharon JL, but only at the weekend. Got to be past the... What is the yard arm? Is the yard arm different for everyone? 2 double espressos, always in the morning. Good man. So that's quadruple, essentially, Christos. My friend reckon they don't need to go to the library. They come to me, more instance. It's a bit like my mum. Everyone could go to my mum. 6:45 bath time for my son on a Friday night takes the edge off a stressful bedtime when I've had half a glass of wine, Holly D. And Holly D, do you just stick with the glass of wine? I'm fascinated by people who can use alcohol in that way. Because for me, that is you in control of alcohol. To be able to have a drink or two that takes the edge off things and then stop. I mean, to be fair, that's what Nadia does now. Ellie Denning, on holiday any time. At home, I don't drink. Just makes me tired. Strong coffee in the morning. My Little Peonies. The only time I ever got drunk was at 11 o'clock in the morning. Stopped drinking after that. Yeah, it's tricky when you're starting to kind of, I don't know, pour vodka into a can of Diet Coke, which is where I ended up. Jogging jelly, it's sad when people almost enjoy not reading or being able to do maths. Not if they struggle, that's completely different. But when people, precisely jogging jelly, wearing a lack of reading as a badge of honour and almost saying it in a way that is metaphorically like a spiked ball that you're thrusting into people's heads like, I don't read. Why do you? Waster. Makes me want to get a book and just crack it against their head. Erin Bullimore, reading is good for memory and concentration and generally improving connections in the brain. Everyone should read, even if it's just a little. Absolutely agree. Miss you too, Jacqueline. On a serious note, does it have to be something specific on a specific time? A drink or two at random times every now and then makes it more enjoyable, I believe. Did Holly D? Oh, I finish off that glass and one more after bedtime. Holly D! Big shout out, because that for me is something I could never ever do. As soon as I started drinking, I would be so kind of like on top form because it was just like, this is the start and this is fine. And then of course I would do an audit of every single bottle of potential alcohol in the house, and by the end of the evening everything would be gone. I'd be heading up to the corner shop to get some more. Bev Berry, I prefer James Herbert or Stephen King books. Yep. Any book. I think reading any book is a good thing. I think reading any book is a good thing. I can't wait to read it just to see what he says, talking about Prince Harry. Yeah, so that was Sarah Palin. Lots of people, something in the news today, lots of people are saying that, I don't know if I have a strong opinion on this. Everyone's up in arms, or trying to be up in arms, about the fact that Rishi Sunak isn't going to the COP27 climate summit because he's dealing with the budget with Jeremy Hunt. I couldn't get, you know what? If he's there or not there, it doesn't change our policy, does it? Does he have to be there? Do you think? Is it important? Do you think it's important that we see him there, Rishi? This is the COP27 climate summit in Egypt. I don't know. I don't think it's important. Al Zaran, Alex in Mayfair. Hi, Alex. How you doing, dude? How you doing? Haven't heard from you for a while. I hope you're well. Hopefully we're heading up to, if you're still, are you still near the Gagosian? Couldn't care less. Yeah, I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less about that. Right, okay, I'm going to take you down a little nostalgic trip down memory lane. Well, no, I'm not. You are. You're going to take me. What was your favourite sport at school? When you did games, when you did sport, what was your favourite game or sport at school? The reason I'm asking this is, if you ever thought netball was just for girls, it wasn't. 20,000 men in the UK now play netball. And I remember we used to watch the girls all playing netball. And Rounders, Sarah Witherington. Rounders was fantastic. Nicola S., how are you, my darling? Sending you lots of love. Soccer, none, hated it. That's like our girls, they can't stand it. Wheelchair basketball, April Hill. That's hardcore, isn't it? Volleyball, Carly Benabia. We never really played volleyball at school. I'd have liked it. Hockey, who said hockey? Marie Pitts. Athletics and hockey, Ross. Forgetting my kit was my favorite. PE teachers were absolute monsters, weren't they? We had a swimming teacher. We had a pool at our school, Holland Park. Badminton, Sarah Witherington. Absolutely, badminton. Badminton's good. What I love about badminton is it's fast. And then however fast it is, the shuttlecock goes, I'm slow. It's like when you turn on the slow-mo on your iPhone and you get that sped up bit and then it just does that. Christos used to be in the basketball team. Bowling at the bowling alley, Sharon Jail. Did they take you to the bowling alley at school? Wow, that's so cool. I'd have ended up just buying beers. Badminton is very Russian, says Natasha Milchin. Netball till I dislocated and broke my shoulder and the PE teacher wouldn't send me home. Kim Long. What is wrong with them? Stool ball? What's Joe B? What's stool ball? A Sussex game like Rounders. Dale Ibbotson, cross country. Now, cross country, obviously I like running now, Dale, but whenever I heard the word cross country, or the words cross country, I'd get the collywobbles. Dodgeball. What's that? As I was saying, our swimming teacher knew we had an asbestos roof to our swimming pool. They had to close it down in the end because the asbestos was falling in the pool. I mean, that's terrible. I'm not saying this lightheartedly because we are, we could have all been terribly, asbestos can cause all sorts of long-term problems. But he was so horrible. He'd throw you in. He'd drag you out of the changing rooms before you had your trunks on and he'd hurl you in the water. Very short, squat man. British Bulldog. I used to love that, Sarah Withington. Dodgeball. Laurel Nichols, hated cross-country. Some kids went to the chippy. Yeah, and some kids would just disappear into the bushes en route and have a fag. But near my school, in the, what were we, the 80s, glue sniffing was all the rage. So we'd do cross-country in Holland Park, and you'd sort of run through some bushes, and you'd see sort of like ghostly, emaciated boys, teenage boys, skinheads, with like, bags of glue. And it was just like, it was so haunting. It's just like zombies. Did anyone used to play bench football? I played bench football, kicked the ball so hard, my bad toenail, hit the bench. And we heard this skittling sound as it went, ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. And everyone looked and went, it's Mark's toe. Well, it wasn't my toe, it was my toenail. Tipex sniffing. Yeah, we used to take inhalers so many times at the back of the class that you'd pass out. Oh, such idiots, weren't we? Teachers would check that you had had a shower. Did they? How did they check? Julie Neal, a PE teacher told me off when I struggled to get on the trampoline. I wasn't physically capable of doing lots of sport, and I'm of small stature. Yeah, they'd just force you, wouldn't they? They'd shame you. They'd shame you in front of the rest of the class. And then they'd do that thing where you'd have to pick people, and there'd always be someone left over, wouldn't there, who wasn't picked. Terrible. Terrible. Well, anyway, so why am I talking about this? Netball, once condemned as a schoolgirl sport, is being taken up by more and more men, and this is a good thing. The nail escaped. I don't know if you ever saw the vlog where Nadia drank an empty can in my room, and there were toenails in it. Elon Musk, obviously, I've put it in the title, has taken over Twitter. Rather curiously, there's been a lot of footage and a lot made of the photographs of him walking into Twitter's HQ holding a sink. Why do you think he went in holding a sink? Do you think is it the phrase, the kitchen, taking everything but the kitchen sink? He's taken everything but the kitchen sink? Fluorescent. Sink in. I just like the deodorant in the changing rooms. Yeah. Sink or swim. Oh, there you go. With a sink. Yeah, with a sink. Of course, the talk is that he's going to come into Twitter. He's going to radically allow more conservative thought because the feeling is that it's run by the tofu Guardian reading wokerati. Yes, she does, Julie Hilton, thank you. And much talk of him allowing Trump back on. So Trump will be able to start doing all sorts of stuff again on Twitter, just in time for him to be re-elected. Mark, where is the Fuck Off Friday jingle? The Fuck Off Friday jingle is coming right up. Fuck Off Friday. Quiz of the week. Who's ready for Quiz of the Week? Let's do it. It's Friday, it's Quiz of the Week. I'm 18. Just weird to think I'm 18 years sober. And if I'd been born on the day that I stopped drinking, I could now legally drink. I love those strange parallels.
You guys know how it is when you buy.
Yeah, no, I don't know how it is at all. Okay, so Quiz of the Week, guys. If you're not up for this, Nadia Mansour, she's at Loose. If you're not up for this, head off. Go find some other stuff on YouTube. But if you're up for this, here we go. 7 questions and take us into the weekend. Here we go. Oh, look, there we go. I'm eligible for a free flu jab. Okay, thank you. Now, question number 1. David Tennant made a surprise return to Doctor Who following the regeneration of Jodie Whittaker's incarnation of the Landlord, Time Lord. 4 other former Doctors returned for brief appearances. Who was among them? A. Tom Baker, B. William Hartnell, or C. Paul McGann? Which of those 3 also featured? I have to confess, Dale Ibbotson, I know you're a big Doctor Who fan. I loved Doctor Who when I was a kid, but I don't know why. I lost it. I liked it when David Tennant was the Doctor. I quite liked it when the chap from the thick of it was the Doctor. I forget his name. So A, B, or C? Was it A, Tom Baker? B, I loved Tom Baker. B, William Hartnell, or C, Paul McGann? Yeah, I thought it might be Tom Baker. I was willing it to be Tom Baker. Lots of you saying C. It is Paul McGann. You're absolutely right. Question 2. Oh, I saw this, but I was going to talk about this, but I felt a bit sad about this story. An Iranian hermit who had refused to wash for half a century died at the age of 94. But what had been his problem with soap and water? Was it A, he believed the body cleansed itself by producing natural oils? Was it B, he feared it would make him ill? Or was it C, he had rejected the Muslim faith and its associated washing rituals? So what was this guy's problem with soap and water? At the age of 94, he had a wash and died. Did he A, believe the body cleaned itself with natural oils, B, feared it would make him ill, or C, had rejected the Muslim faith and all its associated washing rituals? Karen Oliver says B, Jules Tarling says A. Lots of you saying B, Dale Ibbotson saying B, he feared it would make him ill. Lots of you saying B, MT saying C, Sam French saying A. Christos, where are you? What are you saying? Shonsta Migmon says B, Linda Tyler says A. It's B. It's B. He feared it would make him ill. And rather tragically, kind of proven right. Question 3. There were calls to remove the Dukes of York and Sussex from a group able to stand in for King Charles for official duties. Who else is among the 5 councillors of state, along with Camilla, the Queen Consort, and the Prince of Wales, William? Is it A, the Duke of Kent, B, Princess Beatrice, or C, the Princess Royal, Princess Anne? Which of those 3 are within a group that can stand in for King Charles for official duties? Was it A, the Duke of Kent? Is it B, Princess Beatrice? Or is it C, the Princess Royal? LN, he did die a few days after he was persuaded to wash. Tragic, isn't it? You're saying Princess Anne, Sean Thomas. Beatrice says Faith Goodman. Dale Ibbotson is saying C. I was saying C. I was saying C, the Princess Royal. It's actually Princess Beatrice, bizarrely. Curious, eh? Question 4. A Brazilian politician was locked up for throwing which of the following at police who arrived at his house to arrest him? Was it A, a Brazilian international football jersey? Was it B, a bucket of feces? Or was it C, grenades? Now think about this. This is South America. Brazilian politician was locked up for throwing which at police arriving at his house to arrest him? Was it A, a Brazilian international football jersey, which would be sacrilege, let's face it? Is it B, a bucket of feces? Or was it C, hand grenades? Grenades. Bloody hell. Yeah, you've got to be careful in South America. Faith Goodman says grenades. Jules Tarling says grenades. Sarah Withington. Oh, lots of you saying grenades. Oh, no, some of you saying feces. So unique. Christine Dale Ibbotson saying feces. Raspberry Mojito Girl saying feces. Julie Everett saying, yeah, fuck off Friday, is going for feces too. Christos, C, hardcore. Yeah, hardcore, know the score. Yes, C, grenades. This story, again, there's so many stories that pop up that we want to do, and then, of course, other stuff sort of gets in the way. Pope Francis, question 5. Pope Francis said even priests and nuns, I can't believe this, succumb to the temptations of one particular vice, warning it weakens the priestly heart. But what was it? Was it coffee? No, joking. Was it A, taking drugs? Was it B, telling lies? Or was it C, watching porn? Hey, Kaz Seddon, how are you, my darling? Pope Francis said even priests and nuns succumb to the temptations of a particular vice, warning it weakens the priestly heart. Was it A, taking drugs, B, telling lies, or C, watching pornography? Jenny J says porn, Anne Murray says porn, Julie Hilton says telling lies, Susan Cox says telling lies, Christos says porn, Caroline Turlington says porn, Nadia Mansour says taking drugs, Laura Williams says C. I've just got the image of loads of nuns taking cocaine. I mean, what a curious image. Dale Ibbotson says B, telling lies. Lots of you saying telling. Yeah, I'm not going to believe this. Well, you are. Well, maybe you are. No, maybe you are going to believe it. It's watching porn. And he doesn't mean of the kind of illegal variety. He means any porn. Watching pornography. Fair dues. A book was returned to a Coventry library 84 years overdue. Nanny Dyer liked this one. She's a librarian. She was never a cross librarian. In fact, it was never quiet in her library. A book was returned to a Coventry library by the grandson of the late borrower. It was 84 years overdue. And Paddy Riordan also handed over a donation equivalent to the fine for the overdue return. How much was the overdue fine on this book? 84 years overdue. Was it A, £18.27? Was it B, £43.85? Or was it C, £7,673? Sarah Palin wouldn't have paid for this, would she? She wouldn't have had a book. Lots of you going for the outlandish £7,000. Look at you. Apart from Sean Thomas is going for A. Theresa A is going for B, £43. Okay, so some of you going for A. Quite a few of you going for 7,000. It's such an outlandish figure. You can't help but think that must be true, right? Nicola S is going for A. The answer is in fact £18.27. Seems quite reasonable. It's probably less than the cost of the book. It's less than the cost of Harry's autobiography. Is it an autobiography if a ghostwriter's written it with you? I don't think it is. Okay, final question. You're going to know this if you were watching Poppy Coning. Poppy Coning? If you were watching Poppy Coning yesterday, you'll know this. Car maker Ford is to end production of the Fiesta, more than 20 million of which have been sold worldwide since the first rolled off the production line in 1976. But where did the Fiesta sit on the list of the UK's best-selling cars in 2021? What a sort of odd question. Where did the Ford Fiesta sit on the list of the UK's best-selling cars in 2021? Was it A, top? Was it B, 6th? Or was it C, 11th? Hi, Sarah Jenkins. How are you? Which of those was it? A, B, or C? Hey? It's C. Sarah Jenkins sending you many hugs and COVID recovery goodwill. It's C. It's 11. It's 11. Who got 7 out of 7? Come on, guys, going into the weekend with a nice clean sweep. It's funny, isn't it? I do find it funny the way picture editors choose photos of people. I'm looking at a photo here of world's richest person takes on Twitter. The photograph of Elon Musk, he looks like an absolute monster. 3 out of 7, Maria H. Only 2, Sean Thomas, Margaret O'Brien 4, Broxy Brer 4, Jackie Roswell 3, Kim Long 5, Paula Farron 6, well done. Andrea Crash 7, well done. Not me, says Nicola S. Anna Charlumbus 3, Ellery Jones 2, Christine Bett 1, Sam French, Neil Point. Okay, guys, well, not to worry. Try. There's always next week. You can always try next week. Okay, guys, so have a lovely day. Weekly Rushes will be coming at some point over the weekend. It's a pre-recorded No Name Sunday show, which will be landing on Sunday, not surprisingly. And something will be landing. I think a Home Time is landing before the next. There are 4 more installments from the yoga trip. It gets quite emotional. Guys, have a lovely day, and thank you. As I said, thank you so much for all your messages. Really, really appreciated, and they've really touched me.